In this tutorial, we are going to write an inches conversion program. So we are going to ask the user for some inches, and we will print out the number of feet and inches. And we will be using the modulus operator to figure out the remaining inches after we've divided the total inches by 12. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a planning document. This is how you're going to be starting all of your programs in this class. And so in Replit, I can create another file. I'll just call it planning. And then I'm going to copy over the steps from the assignment documents. So what we're going to start with is a sample run of what our program will look like. And then we're going to plan out our program using these guiding questions. So the sample run is like this. When your program's finished and a user runs your program, what should they expect to see? And so for this program, I'm going to want to print a welcome message. All my programs, I will do that. And then you kind of want to give a brief sentence of what this program will do. So this program converts inches to feet and inches. Okay, and then I'll probably have a space after my intro. And then I'm ready to prompt my user. So I'm going to ask them to enter the number of inches. And let's say they type in 47. Okay, well, I'm going to save that 47 into a variable, and then I'm going to calculate the number of feet in inches. And my output will look like this. I'm going to echo back what they put in, so 47 inches equals, and then if I figure this out on my calculator, it's 3 feet and 11 inches. Okay, and then I'll do a goodbye message. And that's my program. That's what my entire program will look like when the user runs it. And the cool thing about doing a sample run is when I'm done coding, I can use this input to test my program. So the first thing I'm going to do when I run my program is put in 47. And because I've already figured that out on my calculator, it should print out 3 feet and 11 inches. Okay, so now we're ready to plan. The first thing we need to do is identify what input this program is going to take in from the user. And this program only has one input, right? They're going to type in the number of inches. And so you're going to identify the user input and how many inputs do you need. So the input is the number of inches. The user enters number of inches. Okay, and then what data types do you need for the inputs? So this is where you have to kind of think, right? Should we allow our user to enter 47.5 inches or just whole numbers? Well, I think we should allow for decimal input. And so that would be called a float type, right? Floating point type, meaning that the number could have decimals in it. So I'm going to create a float for inches. Okay, so that's the input I need, just one floating point variable, and I'm going to call that variable inches. And so what calculations do we need? Okay, let's see. We have to calculate the number of feet and the number of remaining inches. So to calculate feet, I'm going to just do the number of inches divided by 12. And you can see I'm using this kind of division, right? This is integer division, meaning that when I divide the number by 12, it's just going to truncate all of the decimal portion because I want a whole number for the number of feet. And I don't want it to come up with 3.99 feet. I want it a whole number of feet and then the remaining inches. So make sure that when you want a whole number for your division result, you use the two division symbols. And then to calculate remaining inches, I'm going to do inches mod 12. So if you remember from the instructions above this tutorial, when you take a number and you divide it by a number, this modulus operator will return what is left over, the remainder. So what this is saying is take inches, divide it by 12, and then return the number of remaining inches. Okay, so the remainder portion. So that's what we're going to do to calculate how many inches are left when I divide inches by 12. So when I do this calculation, if inches is 47, it's going to return 3, right? Integer division, when I do 47 divided by 12 is 3. But when I do 47 mod 12, it will divide inches by 3, and then it returns the remaining, so it'll return 11 inches. Okay, so then the next thing is list the steps in order. Okay, so the steps in order, and we usually number our steps because sometimes when we get to loops, we're going to want to say, go back to step 2. So we'll just get in the habit of numbering our steps now. So the first thing we're going to do is print the welcome message. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to prompt user to enter the inches. And then we'll read in inches into the variable inches. Okay, and then what do we want to do next? Let's look at our sample run. Oh, so now it's time to calculate feet in inches. So then we're going to set feet to inches divided by 12, and then we will set remaining, I'll just call this remaining inches, to inches mod 12. Okay, and so that's going to give me my remaining inches and my feet. Okay, then what else am I going to do? Oh, I need to print a message with all that information. So then the next step would be to print initial inches, and then feet, and then the remaining inches. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to print a goodbye. Okay, so this is just English, right? This is not code, but these are the detailed steps that I'm going to need to do to write my program. Okay, and then the output. Okay, what is output? So we could tell from our pseudocode and from our sample run that the output is going to be the feet and the remaining inches, right? So we're going, and what types are those going to be? Those will also be floats. So feet, and then float remaining inches. Okay, so the float and the remaining inches, those are going to be our output. This is the data that will be displayed to my user. Okay, now I'm ready to write my program. Those are all my steps. I've thought about everything I'll need, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these steps into my my program, and then I'm going to comment them out so I can just refer to them rather than going back and forth. And so to comment those out, you can just do a command and then the /. It's the key with the question mark, and this is just a toggle, right? It just toggles it from commented out to not comments. Okay, so now I'm ready to start. First thing I'm going to do is create my main function, and then I'll go ahead and call it down here just so I don't forget, because I usually forget to do that. And then I'm going to print the welcome message. So I'm just going to follow these steps and do exactly what I need to do. Oops, and one thing I forgot to do is we have to define all of our variables at the top. So I'm going to go back to my planning document and I'm going to look at the variables that I did for input and then for output. And I'm going to create all those at the top of my program. Okay, super important to do that. So in Python, you don't have to tell it will be a float. You just have to give it a name. And then we're going to initialize it. So it's like clearing out that memory space. So we'll initialize it to 0, 0. And then I have feet, initialize that to 0, 0. And then remaining inches, and initialize that to 0, 0. Okay. So I went back and looked at the input and output sections and created all those variables. Now I'm ready to start my steps. So I'm going to print the welcome message. Welcome. And then print. And the cool thing about that sample run is I can just go back and copy what I was planning to do. So I want to copy that and put it in there. Okay. Then I want to prompt the user to enter the inches and then read the inches that they type in into the variable inches. And in Python, we do both of these in one step. Okay, so we do the prompting and the reading in one step. So the prompting is using the input function, right? And I'm going to say enter inches. Okay, and then what input will do is it'll read in what they type and it'll put it in a string of characters, and we can store that string into the variable inches. Okay, so this takes what they type and then it'll put it into this variable. But we're going to be doing math on this variable, so we don't want a string of characters. We want it to be a number, and we decided that it should be a floating number, right? A number with decimals. So I'm going to change this string input to a number, a float number. Okay, so when they type in 47, it will be stored in this variable inches. Okay, now I'm ready to calculate feet. And I can just look up here. This is my my pseudocode. I already figured out what the calculation would be, so I don't have to even worry about figuring that out now. I've already done that work. Okay, and then remaining inches, we're going to use the mod operator, and that's going to give us the remainder. Okay, then we're ready to print our output message. So I'm going to print, and I'm going to echo out what they typed in originally. So inches, right? This is a variable. It's just going to print out what's stored in there. So when I type in 47, it will print out 47. And then I'm going to type the words inches equals, and then feet. And then I'm going to type the word feet and remaining inches, inches. And then what does the last thing say? Step 7 is to print my goodbye message. So print goodbye. Okay, I think I'm ready to run. So I'll hit run and it'll prompt me to enter the inches. So I'm going to use that sample data because then I know it should print out 3 feet 11 inches if I did my logic correctly. So 47. 47 inches equals 3 feet and 11 inches. Goodbye. Yay. It works perfectly. The only thing is my output's a little squishy. So I think what I'll do is I'll put a new line before I prompt them for their inches, and then another one before the goodbye message. This way it's just kind of all separated in logical order. Okay, that looks good. But we don't want to just test with the one sample run. We want to test with other data as well. So let's pick a number where there would be no remaining inches, like 12 inches. Whoop, 1 foot and 0 inches. Okay, what about when it's less than 12 inches? Let's do 8 inches. 0 feet and 8 inches. Cool. Well, we're allowing for decimal input, right? So let's try a number like How about 30.5 inches? That equals 2 feet and 6.5 inches. Oh, I love this calculator.